pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors meeting, and it is at the Mitchell County Courthouse. We have an agenda in front of us. Has everybody had a chance to study that? Is there any changes to that? Hearing none. Do we have any motions to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Mark has made a motion.
I'll second.
Todd has second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say the same. Moving on. Approve the minutes of the May 25th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read through that? Is there any additions or corrections that they can find to this? Minutes of Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. If not, do we have any motions to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Mike has made a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Jim has seconded. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
We have approved the minutes of the May 25th meeting. Moving down, County Attorney General discussion. Mark, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have anything for us?
I have nothing for you other than we had the Russ Kephart hearing on Friday, which turned into, for lack of a better word, an absolute fiasco, with his attorney raising all kinds of issues going back 20-some years. Magistrate hasn't ruled yet, but as soon as he rules, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I received your email and copied everything off here, so yeah, it does look like that was quite a deal.
So that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Okay.
Well, I was wondering, what about that Osage daycare thing with the tip that wasn't done right? What's gonna happen with that?
I don't think, I mean, it should have been taken care of before.
Yeah,
It's not a huge deal to get done. What just needs to be done is, need to get the legal description of the property, which isn't difficult. Then we need to get it put into an urban renewal area. Then that needs to go down to John Danos to do all the paperwork. So it's probably going to cost about, and I'm just guessing, $3,000. If there's any other areas that you want to put in, and I'm not aware if there aren't, you might as well do it at the same time, because whether you put one in or whether you put, 50 in, it's basically going to be the $3,000. So, but as far as I know, Rachel's working on that, and it's just going to take some time. It's just paperwork that needs to be filed. So, why it wasn't done, I have no idea. It should have been done. It wasn't, but it's something that we can correct without too much difficulty. Does that all sound right? Correct, Rachel?
Yes.
So I have a question. If it's school property and they choose not to have it put in urban renewal, do they have that right?
I do not. I believe they can show up at the hearing and say we don't want to be in it, but that, then the supervisors could say, well, we are going to put you in it anyway, that's our call. Then they've got the right to appeal that. But I always say, and this is my opinion, I know Al Winters has a different opinion, that I see absolutely no disadvantage whatsoever to being in an urban renewal area. I see all kinds of advantages to being in an urban renewal, but I see no disadvantages to being in an urban renewal area. Now, it's debatable whether it's advantageous or not to be in a TIF area. Some people will say yes, some people will say no, but I see no disadvantage to being in a TIF area. I just don't think there are any.
But this has to be done in order to make that $150,000 legit, right?
Correct. Absolutely. There's no doubt. That's 100% answer. Very seldom can I give you an answer that I can say I'm 100% confident. I am 100% confident that before that internal transfer can be made from one account to the other, that real estate needs to be in an urban renewal area.
Yeah, so I don't foresee anybody saying no to this.
I don't either.
Okay.
Okay, just wondered.
Would there have been any other TIF properties that weren't in urban renewal that were overlooked also?
None that I'm aware of. Rachel would be more aware of that than I am.
Haven't found any yet.
I just wondered, because this one is overlooked, so
Yep.
there may be other ones out there that have been overlooked also.
Ironically, the Sansker daycare is on there, both their parcels, but not the Osage.
We put those on last.
Yeah, that was on them. Yep.
This came out of local option sales tax initially, is that right? Rachel or Mark?
No, it
No.
either came out
That was
of,
Tim.
well, that might have been local options. It's either local option or general basic. I have to look at it.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, why can't we just, if it was local option sales tax, why do we even have to do it? Why can't we just leave it as local option sales tax and save all the John Danos and all that stuff?
This gets relatively complicated, and if I say something that's wrong, somebody correct me. But TIF money can only be used to pay debt. So in effect, if we don't spend that $150,000 from the TIF fund, that stays in that account, and at some point, 3, 7, 5 years from now, when all that debt is paid off, we just say, okay, we can't take any more TIF money. Well, then that $150,000 would go to another project. It would not go to the daycare, and the county would basically miss out on $150,000 worth of TIF money.
So it was obligated initially for that purpose in the TIF fund?
Correct.
It was certified.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
No turn back, yeah.
okay, got it.
You can uncertify it if you want that, but,
Okay.
But
I'm
the
just trying
county
to
would,
keep it simple.
the county would effectively lose $150,000 worth of TIF money that they could use on a different project if they don't move it from the TIF fund to the local option sales tax fund. Does that sound correct, Rachel?
yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You would lose $150,000.
That answers my question, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mark?
Other than maybe we should make sure nothing else is falling through the cracks either. Guess now's the time.
All right, moving on. I don't see a sheriff, so we're not gonna go to the sheriff. County engineer is not here. I think he's here.
He's here.
He's on the phone.
Oh, Rich is on the phone. Okay, Rich, are you ready to say something?
Yeah, it's the fastest way I can jump between two counties. So, hydraulic blading and AMD today. We're looking at starting some grading projects here in the next week or so for what pulls out for us. So there's that. Jim, I believe the courthouse pat is done for the shop there. Is that right, or the garage?
Yes, it's done for now, yep.
Okay. And as far as Foothill, I don't have an exact date yet. I know they won't be paving this week. I know they had trouble in Minnesota last week, so probably will be early to mid next week unless I hear different. So we'll have that going on. That north bridge approach might need extra work. See what happens with that. On Friday we tried to straighten it up a little bit, keep the soft spots from getting worse. We'll see what happens there. And just as an update, our Title VI review went okay. There are a lot of things that the county needs to do as far as Title VI goes, and Melissa and I will be working on some more information. A lot of it is, we don't have a lot of postings done on the website. We're going to need people to put a specific Title VI tab link on our website so we can get a lot of stuff posted and that people know where it is. But a lot going on there. It was a good review. It kind of gave us a good idea of what we need to do. There's some things we're doing right, some things we need to improve on. So just an overall, more than a secondary roads issue, but once we get things set up, it's pretty smooth. So just a little bit of update on that stuff. And then just a reminder, 10-hour day start next week. But if you guys got any questions, I'll entertain them.
You said grading projects, are you doing more than one at the same time, or where are you starting, or what you doing?
No, we're gonna probably continue on Kirkwood, that one.
The only thing I had some landowners contact me on the Kirkwood and Hickory projects, wondering about that. You know, like, when, you know, like landowner meetings or whatever, or what's gonna be done.
So I guess the big question is, are we buying right away or are we not buying right away? That's the one thing I need to know.
Well, I thought we were going to do it right.
Yeah.
As long as we're gonna do it, well, we're gonna do it right.
Well, I think you need to go to that 22-foot, like, the roads on both ends, so.
I thought we were kind of waiting for WHKS to kind of come up with some ideas as far as if we had to, or how much we had to, or is that correct, or are we waiting for us?
I guess I thought we were on the plan of we needed to buy right away, but I guess nobody really kind of defined whether we were going to widen things out. It sounded like we were going to kind of keep everything. At one point, it seemed like we were keeping everything the same footprint, which wasn't going to solve the problem of widening anything.
Right.
And the widening needs to buy right away. So I guess if I have a direction to say we're going to buy right away, we're going to widen this thing, we need to widen it more than what we're at. Try to, instead of improving some of the profile, we'll kind of keep the profile as close to the existing as possible. That might save a lot of work on dirt work and things like that. So if that's the direction you want to take, I'll go that route and see where we're at.
Sounds good to me.
So how wide are you gonna go, 22, is that?
Well, maybe with a 22-foot top, we'll still need shoulders, so.
Correct, yeah.
Yep. So I think my suggestion is we still buy the right of way that we need to get the project done. That process can get started. And then in the meantime, if we want to change the profile a little bit and kind of keep things, try to see what we can keep the existing ditch grade same, that reduces a lot of dirt work and pipe replacements. We evaluate that.
Okay. Okay, but, it's just it's 1st of June, so, we should.
Good. All right.
One thing I had a call on, they're taking, on the Foothill detour, they're taking the Drive-In Theater gravel road.
Yeah.
And they had landowner wondering if we could do dust control in front of his residence.
Oh, sure, yeah, if we're starting to see some more traffic on there, we'll take a look at those. We'll probably have to dust control some places along there. If it gets too terrible right now, I wouldn't think that would be too bad yet, but because people are still driving it, yeah, we'll take a look at that.
I don't know what the advantages of taking that gravel is.
No.
I asked him if they're going both ways, or which way, and he said they're going both ways, up and down. So I don't know
Well,
there's no,
and I don't know why they wouldn't be taking Old Mill Road out of, I don't know who's going where, or where they're coming from, but Old Mill Road would seem like a fast way to 420, and then they can take gravel, but.
yes. That'd be a pretty good curve to come up that hill in a semi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
That bridge,
Yeah,
that bridge on the bottom, is that good for a semi? Legal weight?
I don't think it's posted.
It's not that old a bridge,
No. I don't know how late it would be.
because it was dropped in by
Combine.
I think a combine.
Yeah, got it to it.
Yes, so it's not that old a bridge. That would be an exciting road for a driver to go up with a load on.
But at any rate, we'll take a look at dust control, and maybe you can let me know what the individual is asking for the dust control too.
Okay, yep.
All right. Any other questions for the engineer? Now, Rich, I want to let you know that I went to Spirit Lake this weekend, and I took back roads, back hard surfaces through Emmett, Cassuth. And our hard surfaces might be narrow. There's some others out there that are narrow, quite a few of them, so I don't feel that we're, and their quality of their roads, you know, they've got some rough ones out there too, so. We're not worse, we're not the worst in the area, so.
It's everywhere. You can get on some really bad roads in counties, you can get on some really good ones.
Yeah. All right, I just thought I'd let you know, Rich. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Moving on, number 6, discussion and action on wetland mitigation plan. So, Adam, I guess I will let you have the floor.
Oh, good morning. Glad you guys have me on the agenda again here. I think everybody knows what the project is now. Apologize if I didn't have you guys up to speed before and have all the questions answered, but I think we've kind of addressed it. If there's more, I guess I'll entertain questions now. Again, I just thank you guys for bringing it back up. Does anybody have anything that's still lingering out there that we're concerned about?
No, I think I got all my questions answered, so.
All right. Well, most I got was, they're gonna bring wildlife, and there's no hunting out there right now, is there?
Not right now. No, that's up for discussion yet.
And then for fishing, there won't be any fish in that pond, will there?
No, it won't be big enough. I mean, minnows in the creek and
That was the
chubs.
biggest thing I got, people being able to go out there hunting and fish out there.
Sure. Yeah, we've had some different opinions on our board as to whether it should be open to hunting or not. I guess that's kind of something we're gonna inquire the public about. There's some fear that if you open it to hunting, they'll kill everything there, and there's not really surrounding land around it where they can kind of escape and come back. And then there's other people that say, oh, they'll be fine, let's go ahead and let them hunt, and if there's nothing to hunt, then they won't be there, so. We've heard a little bit of both on that. So, nothing's been set yet. We can go either way.
I hate to see it be like potholes, where every deer in the county runs to the neighbor potholes and sits all winter long, doesn't come out. And then all us people around there we're overrun by deer in the spring when the snow melts, they come out. It would be nice to have both open to hunting.
We've heard mixed opinions on that one too.
Oh, I'm sure you will, especially people that own land right there around it that hunt. So, but me as a landowner, a mile and a half away from potholes, your deer come out of there, or I should say the state's deer come out of there in big hordes, and they come to my woods, and I transplant good hard trees out there, oaks, hard maples, and they destroy them and leave the box elder and the elms alone. If they would be moved out of potholes during season, some of them would be harvested and scattered throughout the county rather than left to just sit there in that one little area. But that's my opinion. But yes, I would like to see the county home open for public hunting. actually, it is something this board here could also decide too. Because it is still county ground, and you're just managing it. So that is something that we could do down the road. Anyways, we went from one thing to another. We're here about the discussion and action on the wetland mitigation project.
I had one local stop and a week ago Saturday and just wondered where we were at with it. They were, he named 3 names, they're fine with it. He was just concerned what stage we were at. And so I just told him it's coming up and we'll discuss it and I'll let him know.
Sure. So right now it's in the engineering phase and it's scheduled for approval in February. So it's a long process yet before you could technically dig any dirt or do anything like that. But this month is the end of a public comment period. If that's done, then we start getting billed for the plan and the design and all that stuff. So if we're gonna move forward with it, now's the time to do it. If we weren't, we would cut our losses, so to speak, and not pay any more engineering. So that's why we're having the discussion about it now, but it is a longer process for approval. So approval's looking at, they estimated February 2022. And then as soon as you get that approval, we can start selling credits, let bids for construction, and then go ahead and start the project.
Okay, is there any other?
Well, I've heard comments from people too that, okay, like the general budget is gonna fund this, correct? And then when you get the money back, it should replenish the general budget for money spent, so it doesn't cost taxpayers money. And then the profits should maybe be split between the two, like a crop share or something, so you have some profit between the two, you know, since it's county land. You guys will manage it. I don't know. I've heard comments to that respect from a number of people. I don't know if that's something doable, or if anybody has any suggestions, or.
I don't have a problem with the credits that they earn, paying the general fund back. I mean, does that work for you to do that?
Yeah, pay the general fund back any costs. You know, our board's doing that project so that the revenue would go back into our projects and things like that was the initial thought, but obviously you guys have the say on what the money does, so it's kind of up to you.
Was it initially $242,000 for the construction cost? Is that the number?
That's the estimate, yeah.
So it would be, Rachel would transfer 242 to conservation, and then as you earn credit, I'm just asking the question here, as you earn credits, you pay that 242 back to the, is that how that would work?
Well, he can use his line items out of the general fund.
Okay.
And then you can just keep a spreadsheet, I mean, of just the revenue coming back to equal that. That'd be probably the easiest.
Would you just authorize it in that line item then,
Yeah,
ahead of the time?
yeah.
Okay.
Money in, money out, like we've done, we have other line items that do that are much smaller, like tree sales and things like that.
I did contact those other 3 counties that have done it, and the one conservation suggested that not to discount the credits. They thought they made the mistake, they discounted them to sell them just to get their money back, and he suggested to keep it up there on the top end. So because you only have so many credits to sell, and once you're done, you're done. So he suggested to keep it up on the upper end.
Yep. Again, that's up to how fast you guys need that, or want me to show that that money's back. We can hold them and sell them slower and get more money, that's a way to do it. But if you guys are concerned that this 242 or 250 comes back immediately or within a couple years or something like that, then you'd have to discount to be able to sell fast. But
Even at a discount price, it took them 12 to 14 years to get their credits sold.
what What county was that one?
Dallas County.
They were one of the first to do it, so.
Or they're not in our, are they in our district or not?
No,
They're in a different district. There's supposed to be a demand in this district, correct? And
Correct.
Coming down the pipe, so we.
Yep, looks good that way from what everyone's told us.
Well, Jim and everybody else has given their opinion. If this passes, I would expect the money to come back to the general fund, period, all of it. That's my opinion. But that's, I think that money should come back to the general. Anyways,
Does that have to be decided right now, or?
it would have to be decided at this meeting how that funding, where it would go if this is passed.
I guess I don't know if you have to do it that way, if you have to say where the funding goes now or not.
I was thinking, I thought we just.
Makes no difference to me, but obviously our board is doing this project so that we can create funds for future projects. As far as the revenue side goes, but like I said, you guys are in charge, so.
The other night you talked about you could save money by doing the maintenance yourself. Would that be something to look into, or still thinking of that or not?
Yeah, I think we'll be able to do the maintenance. The monitoring is another side of it where you gotta meet the requirements for every 10 years, or for 10 years. You have to monitor like 6 different sites so many times per year.
And you could do that yourself also?
We'd have to make an investment in equipment, but it would be a little bit cheaper. When you figure the man hours and stuff, it's about a wash to have either the engineers do it or we can do it. So we might save a tiny bit if we did it ourselves. We can look into the equipment.
So what you're saying is you will do the yearly inspection?
If we do it, it's gonna cost money for equipment and training probably, because you gotta meet the Corps standards, so. They have these monitoring wells, I think she told me they pay $1,200 per one, and then you have to install 6 on our site, and then you have to check and report on them. So it's a little bit of work, and then when you're done monitoring it, you just have that equipment and you don't really have a use for it. I don't know if you could sell it or not.
But don't you have to monitor this yearly forever?
Yeah, what I'm talking about is you can hire that Snyder and Associates to come do it, or we can buy the equipment and do it ourselves. I haven't looked at how much we would actually save, but when I talked to her, she said the other counties that have done it, Dallas County, I think, did their own, and then the other 2 that have done it, they paid it to be done, so.
But after X amount of years, the money you pay out to pay somebody to do that burns up any profit you've made.
It's like 6,000, I think was the budget. I've got it here.
6,000 a year, wasn't it? For 10
I
years.
don't know if it's per year, but yeah,
But isn't this forever?
10 years, I think. ain't
the
it?
monitoring's for 10 years.
Well, what about, isn't there further maintenance to this down the road?
Once it's 10 years, your bank is closed, it's
So
good to go.
This second wetland proposition is different than the first one?
In what regard?
I was thinking the first one you had to forever maintain it.
So,
It
There's
was
a-
a
I got-
yearly fee.
I got it here, monitoring is $5,500 per year for 10 years, and annual maintenance is $45,000, which is $4,500 per year for 10 years. That's estimated.
The maintenance part, you guys would do, like, if there's a bill, something needs reseeded, or,
correct,
yeah.
but you gotta buy the seed, et cetera, so that's all built
Correct.
into that funding plan sheet. You still have a total, that's in that total expense at the sheet that I handed out to you guys for $444,700 or $450,000. So even with those costs, if we paid to have it done, then you're still looking at that same profit ratio that we talked about being, $400,000 or $500,000 depending on where the credits sell from. So that's factored into it. if we hired it out. So if we do some of this ourselves, like I said, we could potentially save some money, so. But
The maintenance part you guys could probably do easily, but yeah. Okay.
spray and seed, yep, that's pretty much the.
Is there any other discussion with amongst the supervisors? Okay, I'm going to allow public discussion, well, I'm going to allow the public to speak. You get to speak one time on one topic for 3 minutes. Anybody in the public, would they like to stand and speak? You may stand and speak.
Okay, start your stopwatch. I don't know how long it takes to talk in 3 minutes. My name is Jackie Armstrong. I've had a chance to talk with most of you about my passion for this project and why I think it's so important. I came today to put a face to that voice because we haven't met personally. I'm just like you. I may not look like you. I'm older, female, but we're all alike, and I think everybody in this room is all alike, in the sense that we have a choice to leave a legacy for the future and for our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and the chance to leave cleaner water for them is just a tremendous opportunity for us. So I'm hoping for a consensus in our community because it's this value of clean water for future generations is important to all of us. So thank you for your time, and thank you all for the careful consideration you give in this project. I don't, just to add one little corollary to this point, the issue of whether to commit the funds that will be returned to the County Conservation Department versus the general fund. I'm not sure that it would be wise for the citizens to hamstring those options for the future. You may want to leave that issue for another time, but certainly this project just seems like a wonderful opportunity for our community. Thank you.
Okay. And you did it in 1 minute and 20 seconds.
I was nervous
You
about
did it
that.
excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just talk about the funding part too. As from the economic development side, one thing that kind of gets missed is recreation. And really the only thing Mitchell County has to offer for recreation is all of our county conservation stuff. So all their campgrounds, all the places like potholes, hunting, fishing, all of that. So I think it would be doing a disservice to not allow them the option to use that money to continue to expand that opportunity, because that is our recreation focus.
Okay. Anybody else? Gary, you may stand or sit there and speak if you'd like.
Is it all right if I stand up? A little easier on my arm.
You, yes, stand up.
Thank you.
I'm leaving you that option.
Thank you. I feel that if this project goes ahead, that it's imperative that the Board of Supervisors control the money. Because this is county property, it's taxpayer money that does it in the first place. The taxpayers have given, as I understand it, the Conservation Commission about $500,000 in the last couple of years to purchase land. And we need to do things like this. But you know, a few years ago, there were several of us, because the lady spoke about water quality. And none of you were on the Board of Supervisors at the time. But there was a whole group of us that approached the Board of Supervisors about water quality, because east of Osage, we've got some areas out there where you can't drink the water, and mine's one of them. And we brought that to the supervisors, and they wouldn't even talk to us. And Stan went so far, and it's on public record, it's on tape. He said, I'm not going to do anything about that, because he said, I don't want to lose my job. It's on tape. Okay? So now all of a sudden here we got water quality issues again. But it wasn't wasn't addressed like 5, 6, 7 years ago like it was supposed to have been. Okay, so we're 7 years behind time on it. So my personal opinion is it's taxpayer money, it's taxpayer property. It goes back to the general fund for the supervisors to use as they see fit, because I feel if we give this to all, or too much of it to the conservation area, and we want conservation, we do. But we have other small entities in the county that need help as well. We have families that can't feed their children the way they should. So I think they need some help too.
Hurry it up, Gary.
Okay, so if the supervisor's in charge, I think the money can be more efficiently spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Anybody else, would they like to speak on this? Do we have any other discussion from the fellow supervisors? Would like to add something? And yes, Gary, the Robin's Nest, Otrano Dam, which hasn't happened yet, Stacyville Park, the Pitson property, which in my head, probably what, $2 million?
Yeah.
Just roughly. That's since I've been supervisor, and that's in 3 years. So we have done well to the conservation. Hopefully the conservation will slow down someday on its spending, because we are above the average in the state, in our parks and the amount of land we've got. So yes, I am for conservation, but I'm starting to see a time when maybe we should be more focused on maintaining what we've got rather than continue to buy. I've said my piece. Anybody else? Okay.
So today we make a decision on both, or one or the other, or?
I think you make a decision on both, because if you don't,
Depends on the motion, how the motion is made.
And Gary brought up a point about water quality. I just throw it out there that some counties have, to address water quality is a huge expense on everybody. Some counties have done bonding and raised tax funds to address that issue. They passed the bond issue based on that. So you could put some type of stipulation on projects to where, okay, whatever money comes in from this wetland should be used to further enhance water quality. I don't think that would be a terrible idea, because most of the projects that we're involved with have multiple benefits, and most of them include some type of water quality enhancement. I don't know if that's something of interest, but again, it's up to you whether you do both today or how you do it. So just an idea.
This wetland will improve water quality in that area, but like where he lives, what's your issues with your water quality? Or what would it take to improve something like that in that area in East Osage? I mean, this would probably be a start, right?
Sure. It's hard to focus a project that the county has to own the land, near that. We're all in it together. It's all one watershed. We're all in the Cedar River and all in the Wapsie watershed. So anything you can do to improve it at any level is going to have an effect downstream.
right, the one thing about water quality, and Gary, I'm sorry, I've seen landowners tear out woods, plow up sloughs and waterways, that is our buffer. And I know you haven't done that, but it has been done and done heavily in my lifetime. I've seen it. Especially within a mile of my place, where I've seen literally hundreds of acres of woods tore down and plowed under. They're gone. I've seen sloughs that used to be 150 yards wide, with weeds over my head. Again, not a wise use of land, but now it's a gully. Now, water quality. We talked about water quality, and you and I discussed, I think you were who I talked with Friday, right? Water quality. We're taking water that's coming down a waterway that's run off from cornfields, it's full of nitrates, and we're gonna let it soak into the ground there. We're gonna scratch off the dirt and sod, and we're gonna bear all that sand, because that's what it's underneath there. Our nitrate influxed water will go right down into the ground. In the Burrow Creek, which is only 2 miles or a mile and a half from there, there's numerous springs that come up out of the Mother Earth. Whether the nitrates go down the waterway or in the ground, we're still polluting our ground with nitrates. Are we improving our water quality? Time will tell. But it's unfortunate that we have to spend money to make wetlands back when we had so many wetlands that I remember. Anyways, I've said again too much. Is there any more discussion on this? So what we need to do?
Steve, may I say one other thing? Or not?
Make it quick.
Okay. Okay, the issues that we had with water quality then, when we came to the Board of Supervisors 5, 6, 7 years ago, was all the concentration of hog production units in our area. And our water is so high in E. coli bacteria. Our nitrates are not the big issue there, it's the E. coli in the water issues. Well, if anybody drinks water that has too much E. coli in, and I know what's going to be the end result, you know, you're going to have severe diarrhea. And so there's several farms in our area there because of all the hog buildings, and that's water quality. Can't drink the water there. We buy bottled water in town. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. So I'll entertain some motions. Anybody?
I'll move to approve the conservation wetland mitigation project.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Jim has made a motion, Todd has seconded. Any further discussion?
Well, I think we need to have more in there to say about the money coming out of the general and being put back, and, you know, so it doesn't cost taxpayers money. I think we need that to be in the motion also.
Okay.
Did you have a motion to reconsider? You have to have that first.
I'm letting them talk.
Okay.
But, yeah, I think that needs to be in the motion too, otherwise, you know,
All right. So Mike, you're making a motion to reconsider?
well, if you got any discussion, well, that's my discussion, is that I think the motion needs to be, include more details than.
I wonder if we don't have to follow through with the first one and
Yes.
let it fail, and then go to a different motion.
Withdraw.
All right.
So we have a motion and a second. further discussion? Rachel?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mike, Mark.
No,
So that has failed. Do we have motions, any motions that would further describe how the finances would be?
Well, I would move to go ahead with it. Money coming out of the general budget to pay for the project, and as the credits are sold, that money is replenished to the general budget for the airport lot.
So how are you stipulating that? All money is coming back to the general, or just what the cost is?
Well,
That's, you have to have it, that's why we have to have it just right.
okay, well, the cost for sure, and then if they're gonna do the maintenance, which is gonna cost them some money, I think we could do like farmers do crop sharing, you know, I own the land, you farm it, we split the profits.
Okay,
I don't know.
do we have a second that, Mike has made a motion, do we have a second for that? I'm not hearing a second. So. I'm not hearing a second. I don't really know how to go through this.
Dies for a second, I'll make another motion.
Died, yeah, died for lack of a second. Jim, you make a motion.
I'll move to approve the conservation wetland mitigation project, where funding of $242,000 comes from the general fund to fund the project. As credits are sold, the conservation will repay that $242,000 back to the general fund.
Jim has made a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Todd has made a second. Further discussion?
Can I say anything now?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay, so what about the profit? Where's, I mean, that wasn't mentioned.
Do we
Can I
decide
just
upon later?
add one thing? This may be helpful or this may not be helpful. You're somewhat getting into the area where this board can't find a future board. It's kind of like the past board approved this project, but they can't find you. And it's the same way. You could say, you know, all future profits have to be handled such a way, and then a future board could come in and change that simply because you cannot find a future board, simply like the same way the previous board couldn't find you to this project. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I just wanted to alert you to the fact of that.
Thank you, Mark. I don't think that helped, but thank you.
I guess what he's saying is you should approve it, like Jim said, and then the profits to be determined at a later date, you know, because it's gonna be down the road.
Okay.
I don't know.
So,
I
anyways,
guess I look at it that, I'm sitting here thinking, if we approve this wetland, get our money back, that 242, you know, if the conservation comes to us with a good idea, I mean, I hate to say right today that they're not gonna get any of that money, you know, I mean, I'd like to be able to, wait till down the road, when we start selling the credits and the wetlands, mitigation banks done, I don't wanna, that money after the 242 is paid back, if possible, I would rather not make the decision today on it, just because if they come back with, well, anybody comes, you know, and our county comes and says they could use a little money, we have that. But, you know, I just don't wanna, after the initial 242, I'd like to kinda sit on what happens down the road with that money. If we don't have to, Mark, would we have to make that decision today on that?
No, you don't have to make that decision today.
Just that they will pay us, when they start selling the credits, they'll pay our initial cost back to us, and then we'll review it down the road. Would you guys feel comfortable with that?
I don't know if you should put a dollar amount on there, because they don't know what the dollar amount's gonna be. You should just have the cost
The initial cost,
of construction, rather than 242, what if it's 220? They've got 20,000, what if it's 280? Then you gotta come back with some more money. So why don't you just have the cost of construction?
Initial construction.
It's gonna be a couple of years down the road anyway before the profits are seen, and say
Pretty
you
early.
the electrical in St. Ansgar at Halverson, you know. You know, say no, you know, I mean, something needs to be done,
So
so.
you want, can you change that, or you wanna drop it, and I'll make a motion?
Sure. I just wasn't sure, we kind of were getting locked into specifics, and they need to know how much to transfer, and so I was just trying to do that.
Just transfer as needed.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So you can change your motion to that.
Or Mark
Rod,
could
would
move
you
to
second?
amend.
Pardon?
Or Mark could move to amend.
I'll move to amend the motion to state that, go along with the mitigation project and for the cost of construction. Then we can determine, profits and payback to a later date.
I'll second that.
Mark has made a motion, Jim has seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Steve,
No.
Mike,
Right.
Jim.
Aye.
So, motion has passed for a majority. Any other further comments on this? Giving anybody a chance. All right. We're moving on.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Approving the fireworks permits. We have 2 permits. Okay. One is for Derek Balsley. This will be at his pasture. And it is going to be 9/16 of 2021. It will start at 9:30 and end at 10. The physical address, I guess it's at his pasture. Okay, the Flashing Thunder Fireworks is the ones that are doing it. We have to do them separate,
You can do them together.
do them together. The other one is the field east of 350th Street across from the fairgrounds. This is on Kevin Nered's property. This will be August 6th and 7th. It will start at 9:30 and end at 10:30, or around 10:30. Again, that is Flashing Thunder Fireworks. permits here that we are approving.
I move that we, to make the motion that we approve the two fireworks permits.
Oh, second.
Todd has made a motion, Mike has seconded. Further discussion?
Roll call, Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
So the fireworks permits have been approved. Moving on, approved planning and zoning sanitation applicant.
Well, we had decided on Amanda Jacobs. She's gonna start June 7th. We approved it at the last Board of Health meeting. And since she does planning and zoning for the courthouse, we only need to approve her hiring here also, since she's split between the two. So I make a motion to, or is there any others, I guess? Can I just make a motion, move to Brewers?
You
I
can,
can just move to.
what was her name again?
Amanda Jacobs.
Amanda Jacobs.
She's from Osage, from down here.
Okay, Mike has made a motion to approve the hiring.
I'll second that.
Mark has made a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Rachel?
Roll call, Mike,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
All right, moving on. Approve the Acorn Park and Golf Recreation Liquor License. That would be the St. Ansgar Golf Course. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none. Do we have any motions to approve the Acorn Park and Golf Recreation Liquor License?
I'll move to make that motion.
Todd has made a motion.
Better need her, huh? I'll second that.
Mark has seconded. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Moving down, items of note, meetings attended,
I have none.
money.
Oh, a couple at a substance abuse coalition board meeting. They went through the gambling information. 80% of the people gamble, they say, and they're trying to cut it down in the schools. They say 6th graders gamble 17% of them do, 8th graders 26%, 11th graders 28%. So, in some way or form, you know. So trying to discourage that, so they're gonna work on doing stuff in the schools, and they got all the tobacco ordinances updated. Some towns ain't updated from 18 to 21 yet, you know, I mean, they have to get that done, so they got that all done. So. Anyhow, then the other one was a Board of Health meeting in St. Ansgar, and approved hiring Amanda Jacobs, and they have an aid resignation, and a few other things. They talked about one active COVID case in Mitchell County, so that's significantly less. They no longer have their building by Fox River, so they'll be doing vaccinations out of their office. And one thing, since they're doing it out of their office, they would like to have a different sign put out front there. You know, the sign out there says county services. Well, a lot of people, even when we did these interviews for jobs, I told them where to go, and they had trouble finding it because it doesn't say public health or something on that. So I was wondering if we could change that sign to say Mitchell County Public Health or something instead of county services. I don't know if that's something we could do, makes it passed.
I don't see a problem with that.
I catch myself saying that a lot.
What's that?
Public health.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that in the building, the sign,
Correct.
nowhere.
I-
Nobody knows where it's at. Especially when they're doing vaccinations there, you know, they need to have their building identified better.
It probably is a county issue, but a few years ago, the city actually put up signs on Main Street, like sheriff's office,
Okay.
library, you know, that's something we can maybe look into is, by the fire station corner or something, putting a sign that said public health building, and then if they were willing to put public health on the side of their building.
Yeah. Or there's a posted sign, if we could maybe get a sign to fit that.
Here you
I
have
don't
it.
know if like Adam's Graphic or somebody could make one up to fit in there, I would think so, but.
Wouldn't it be made, wouldn't the state make the sign?
State or Iowa Prison Industries. The road department buys Iowa Prison Industries signs.
So you do,
Yeah, we could have them make one.
you could,
I guess the other thing.
could you take care of that? I mean, you could measure the posts and you know the size and.
But we'd have to get permission from the state, DOT,
They would have to,
they'd be a size limit.
in their, they want to do in their right of way, they have to do the work.
Okay.
And now,
This one's into the property, this one into the right of way. This one's on the property.
if it's private property, then it would be, we could do that, but if it's a state, then they're gonna have to have some state say in it.
Yeah, well, this is,
But you're referring to a sign here in the property.
on the property is what I'm
If we
saying.
wanted one up at the hard surface or the state road,
Yeah, if you.
we'd
want-
have to be within the rules and regs of
Yeah,
DOT.
they want one on the property, because
So
people
you're
drive
not
down.
worrying about one up at the,
No, they were concerned about the property, because people can't find them, because it says county services, well, they don't know. They get the address, but they don't know what bill, where to go.
The city put them up, but again, they probably dealt with the state, because after you guys discussed that, it's definitely on the state highway.
oh yes, that's within their
Oh,
jurisdiction.
up there, yeah.
And it's,
I don't think the problem up there, the problem is at the building
Cement.
itself.
Yeah,
You know,
light pole.
yeah.
The way I think of
We'll talk as far as what you want, we'll get something
Okay.
figured out.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's up there. Something like it's just at the building itself.
Yeah,
Because people come and wonder if they're at the right place or not. Even these interviews, I can't find it. Well, I'm here by county services. Yeah, that's it.
All right, well,
You know, so.
let you and Jim
Yeah,
and
okay.
Laura discuss that.
Okay. And other than that, that's all I have is those two.
I had nothing.
Just had a county social service one, and we're getting into a new group, counties, July 1st, and they're getting handbooks and a new website. And, that's about it.
Okay, Todd.
I had none.
Okay. Moving on, transfer of funds.
Every year we have transferred money, from, the first one will be from the general basic conservation land acquisition for $30,000. And the second, is rural basic, the secondary roads for $643,526.50.
Okay.
So this is just like a routine,
The 30,000 is the same every year, and the other is a percentage that we have to take based upon our valuations.
okay.
And they get part of that money in the fall, like in November, then it's the second half.
Second half with Colin?
Yep.
Okay. The conservation gets it once a year? Is it?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this, or is that what we just had? So, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I don't need a motion, it's just an item of note,
Oh, we don't have to approve it?
no.
Okay. Moving on. Manure management plan update.
There's one for Valley Finisher Farm, 3923 Valley Avenue, Riceville.